Look at that. Gemma is in. We shall see if we are too.
All right. Let's give it a second.
Yes.
Figure out. Look at my nice picture. You missed it. Got a very
I
nice
saw
picture.
it.
Yes.
No, it was a nice picture. I liked
Yes,
it.
I got a nice picture. I got a previous one, and I'm like, no, this one's better. Ooh.
Is it hot? I'm sorry. It is fresh
Take
coffee.
the
you
skin right out of my
you
mouth.
said you wanted coffee. You didn't specify if it came out to be hot.
I'm gonna have to wait a minute for that one. I'm not gonna be downing it.
No.
So we just wait a second, make sure everybody's in. Good morning, Gemma. I was listening to quite a few different historic, quote unquote, podcasts because, I guess there's a fine line between history and propaganda, but there we go.
On that note, so we've talked about social media platforms and their lovely attempt at propaganda, which is nonstop.
Yes.
So I was looking at one of the awesome apps because they're all incredible, and I made a comment saying this platform is so full of bull donkey. So I used bull donkey on purpose. I didn't feel like cursing, and I thought I would make light of said situation where it's telling you everything it wants to tell you. Would you believe it? All of it stopped.
Oh, wow.
It's like magic.
Wow.
So I call it out on its own BS.
And then it magically
stopped.
Because, man, we've been getting a lot of I'm sure it's AI.
I swear. And that's kind of why I'm sharing it.
And you know what's interesting is there's a lot of kind of new things that's popping up. And these people have lots of followers.
Yes.
And like out of nowhere. And it's like, man. And you watch a few of them and they're very similar in what they say. Very AI kind of made up. I think it's very hard to determine what's real and what's not. And then what I have noticed is there are one or two businesses that have huge following, but I suspect that because they are on the right political side,
which is not the right.
Yes, because they are commies.
The right.
Because they are commies. They get boosted, but for no good reason because they just hemorrhage bullshit. Like you can see it's nonsense.
I can tell you how they get boosted if you'd like to know. Remember what I showed you?
Oh, yeah.
Firstly, let's say good morning to Progman and 17 George. Happy 250.
Good morning. Yes. We will do a month of celebration.
Why not?
Just because we can.
Oh, land of the free.
Yes.
Me. No, on that same platform, I keep getting urged to become verified. Now, verification can be very cheap. Or it can be very pricey. So it's all up to what you want to spend or gain.
Yes.
It's more like it.
That's
and
true.
On the highest tier, would you believe it? You are one of their highest promoted and you get first views and
yes, so it's not about popularity, it's about money.
Now I understand when I type in keywords of things I do, another business pops up. I wondered why. I couldn't figure out why because I don't follow said business. I don't know said business. It's like, why when I start typing this, that comes up? I'm like, oh, they are paying the overlords big money for that spot in that name.
Yep.
So, I mean, I guess if that's how you want to do business, to me, it should be more based upon what you guys think. We're crap, you tell us. If we're good, you tell us.
Yeah, but if we're crap, then we improve, then we can fix fix said crap, because we don't always know,
No,
a lot of stuff gets shipped out and we never know what happens.
That is true.
We don't even know if your shipment goes missing. We don't know because
we don't get notified of anything.
We don't get notified of anything.
If you report your shipment missing and I don't get notified, then they, once again try to notify me. Otherwise, they close the case, and half the time they don't notify me. So please reach out. Don't go do it on your own. Otherwise, it doesn't work. So stupid.
So
hang on, not yet.
Okay.
17 George. There is no right or a left. There's only a lower government or a higher, and the two wings are all for the higher.
Well, why I say that? What I mean by that is they are communists, and we are people that believe in freedom.
We are peons.
Yes,
Uh,
I'm not talking government. Yeah, I'm talking people's personal persuasions.
there
And
you
I
go.
don't like commies, man.
New. Cam is in. Good morning to
Good
you. It
morning.
says
Good morning.
classic Google. Exactly. You pay. Um, 17 George, what? Look up a video and get spammed with, yes, the 4-letter word of things that is now all alphabet crew, it seems like, with for 12 pages before finding the game. Dude, you wonder why we can't have our kids on these things, the things that they would see
Well,
immediately.
have
Ooh.
just a general scroll, and
And it populates.
interesting things pop up, like things I do not want my kids' eyes on, like just randomly. Very, very not good.
Very not good.
Yes. So I'm going to try and do my best to give justice to this fundamental part of U.S. history, and it ties in a little bit with the Army and the Navy and the not so much the Air Force, but the Army, Navy, and Marine creation. Um, but there are a few things that I found that was very, very interesting that I didn't know, and I don't know how many people know, but I really enjoyed listening to and doing some research on this. Now, before I start, what I would like to say is I find it very interesting how much brow beating goes on in all of these things. Now, firstly, I listened to a whole bunch of uh, not podcasts, but like videos. What do you call them? Like clips.
Yeah, I would say videos.
Yes. So
depending
I
on how
listened.
long
Well, I
they are,
didn't
yeah.
watch them, but I listened to a bunch of them, um, just to try and get a outline, and I try and get overlapping facts. So whatever people's bias and opinions are gets kind of taken out of the equation, so I can just get the factual history. But I find it very interesting how much just because this happened doesn't make the U.S. that great, and although they did this, it's not that they are phenomenal, or it's very interesting that I just find, and I had a few I guess English, I guess British, I don't want to say English because it might be Scott or whatever, but because I don't know the guy's actual designation, but British guys that did some history, which obviously are to a lesser degree optimistic about the US's independence.
But why?
But I still find the waggy finger about indentured servants and slavery, waggy finger. Now, something I want to state clearly is, if you think back of those days, if this failed, everybody would have been a slave to the UK crown.
Yes.
Everyone.
And
Okay,
they
so-
wouldn't
so-
have stopped.
Yes. So it's not that some people had slaves, and don't. I like how many people just brush over the fact that the first slave owner was a black guy, and the first and black people also had slaves, black slaves. So I just find that whole thing very interesting, how it's propagandized, and still, when you read about the Boston Massacre. Let me see where it is. Um, AI, because AI is easier to like aggregate the points. AI keeps saying used as a Boston Massacre, used as powerful propaganda. It keeps telling me that. Not that it was a factual part of history and that it actually happened. Now, what I will say is, one guy said, that the whole thing was probably not on purpose. Like the soldiers, the English soldiers, were surrounded by like a crowd, and the crowd was giving them a hard time, and throwing stuff at them and that, because obviously they were not liked.
Yes.
And then they
Like
fired
taxing
at the
them.
yes,
Yes.
they were fired at, and then they fired at the crowd. So I understand that but the fact remains that they did fire, and that a bunch of people got killed, and it's not propaganda, it's fact, and that fact was used to fuel the already unrest that was existing. So I don't want to start way at the beginning, but from what I gathered, in a nutshell, what basically happened is there was the French and Indian Wars, and
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to get this wrong, but the French were trying to kind of encroach on the colonies, and the Brits fought them back and got them um, out of America for the most part. So they defeated the French and got them out, but this came at a heavy cost. So the Brits, i.e., the Crown, and I think they were saying the Tories or something, but it was basically King George III, as
Mm-hmm.
far as I can gather all the points, because this is new to me, so I'm trying to learn as well. They said, or decided, they didn't say, they decided that the colonies need to pay taxes or additional taxes to help pay for the the debt that got incurred to free the colonies. So because the war was here,
Mm-hmm.
and because not just here, but it was in Europe as well, in here, but because the French got driven out here, and that caused a debt. The bug, go away, bug. The French, it caused the debt to the crown, so the crown got indebted because of the war. They reasonably thought, and I agree with that. They were like, well, we did the war to like help these guys, so they must pay for it.
Yes. Yes.
But the colonies had no say in that.
Uh-huh.
So the colonies had been taxed without being represented, which is where the big complaint came
Yes.
from. Now, one of the taxes, and I didn't know this, I found that out now when I was researching this. So one of the taxes that was implemented was called a stamp tax.
Yes.
So everything, every document,
Yep.
even decks of cards, everything had to be printed on paper that was taxed, stamped and taxed, and people got very upset with that. And then they got so upset that the Brits reversed the tax, and then they were very happy about that. But they snuck in another law that said that they can at any time apply other taxes again. So, and then we had the Boston Massacre, which we have discussed a few times, which was the British soldiers that killed the colonists in Boston. And then we had the tea. Now, the summary AI leaves a lot of detail out. But basically, what happened was the Brits tried to help the East India Company because they were in trouble. So the Crown tried to help them out of their financial troubles by giving them sole import rights for tea to the US, and then put a tax on the tea. But now, from what I understand, is that tea was cheaper than any other tea they could buy.
Mm-hmm.
So it wasn't about the price; it was about the principle of the tea being taxed and the colonies not wanting to be taxed. So it wasn't that it's okay. Well, it's still cheaper than X tea. It's the principle that you are levying taxes on the tea, and we don't want taxes. So that's basically what that was about. And then the Sons of Liberty, led by Samuel Adams, snuck into the boats, didn't pillage or break or kill anybody or do anything. They just took, I think, 340 chests of tea and emptied them out into the harbor and swept the decks and cleaned the boats. And
I didn't know that they cleaned
they
after.
swept the decks, cleaned the boats, made sure everything was.
I swear nobody mentioned that.
Everything was reset back to the way it was. They just wanted to protest the tea.
Interesting.
Yes.
I knew
and
they
this is
dumped
this is
it
what
out,
I got. So in response to that was the Intolerable Acts, which we have discussed, which was the so that Britain's harsh punishments of Massachusetts united the colonies against the crown. So that's basically where the colonies said that's enough. But we did mention the Intolerable Acts. I could go reprint them if I want, but part of it was that civilians, bars, taverns, whatever, businesses had to look after British soldiers, and there was a bunch of them, which was not good. So the First Continental Congress, 12 colonies met in Philadelphia to coordinate the resistance and the petition to the king. And then in Lexington was a shot heard around the world.
Yes.
So basically what happened was, I can't remember the dude's name, but he grabbed a bunch of soldiers, and they marched to go get weapons and ammunition and stuff out of Concord. And they had to march, I think, through Lexington, and then there was supposed to be like Revolutionary Guard, so you know, revolutionary forces next to the road. They weren't supposed to engage. They were just supposed to be there as a warning. So the Brits wanted to do this under cover of night and secrecy, but of course everybody like was watching them, and as soon as they moved, so Paul Revere was one of the guys that ran on a horse and actually went and told people.
Yes.
So that's where the Paul Revere on the horse thing comes from. So Paul Revere was one of the people that actually rode out and warned the guys down Lexington and Concord Way, and then the shot that was heard around the world, nobody even knows if it was the Brits who fired or the Americans who fired. Nobody knows which side fired. Nobody knows who fired or which side. But that is where the whole thing started.
Yes.
And what basically happened was the Brits retreated, and there were revolutionary fighters waiting behind every hedge, every stone, every tree. And as they retreated, they just got annihilated. They didn't even know where the enemy was. And when they, like, if a guy shoots from behind a stone, he would like shoot maybe twice and then run away. So they couldn't find these guys.
Yeah.
So these guys just completely
guerrilla
like
warfare.
battered them. Yes.
The
All right,
original
so-
guerrilla warfare.
So, and then the Second Continental Congress, as we discussed prior in the Army podcast, was created or approved the creation of a Continental Army and appointed George Washington as Commander-in-Chief.
Yeah.
So that's where he came from. And the Army was mostly from New England. Washington was from, I think, Virginia.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so he was a Southerner to balance out the New England
Yes.
kind of influence. And he also, so something else, Washington actually fought in the French Indian Wars. So he had a lot of experience.
Mm-hmm.
And that was another reason why he was picked. And he did that with no pay. Huh? Washington took that position with no salary. He didn't want to get paid. He did it for the country, which is pretty cool.
Can I catch up a second on chat? All right. So I do have some remarks about what we have been discussing. Chappie is in and says,
Good
not
morning.
everyone could afford a slave. You know, but we act like everybody has them. Facts are a threat to left-wing democracy.
Yes.
And I laughed at this because, you know, our Englishmen up above, have you seen Pornhub? It is amazing. I'm sorry, I chuckled to myself when I saw that. And Jamal, yes, if your product is bad and no one tells you it's bad, you don't know what to fix, then you go out of business. That's exactly correct. It's like it's meant to be. Natural selection, right?
Yeah, except when you're a big company, because apparently they can go around and mess up everything and just stay in business.
That's another topic that we were discussing this morning. 17 George, and the UK still try to be the boss to this day, a fight that never ends. Well, the fact that the things that are highlighted are not actually pertinent to maybe what we're discussing, that's a problem. You know, you should stay on topic. Would help a lot. Only the rich that brought their money from the UK, and most were in the South and founded the Dems. Mm-hmm. So Thomas Jefferson, I've heard this as well, hated slavery. His were inherited, and the laws of his state prevented him from freeing them. They would have gone right back into the auction.
Yes.
So that's the thing. It's like we have to really think of the times.
Well,
the times are not now.
People look at history with the lens of today.
Yes.
And it's not the same thing. You know, it's not the same thing. And you know, when you're busy with delicate little things like this that could end up getting a lot of people killed and life getting a lot worse for a lot of people, you know, you gotta you can't make everything happen at once.
No.
You have to
Takes
kind of step through the process and, you know, get the one process completed before you can move on to the next one. And I mean, it moved pretty quick after independence was declared.
Yeah.
It moved pretty quick from there. If you take, like, I think it was like 15 or 20 years from there, and like basically everything was done.
Yes.
You know,
yes.
it's
So 17 George does say he lives in the middle of the area where the French and Indian War was fought, and the valley below me is the site of one of their largest fights. And he does also mention down lower, there are many signs up around him marking where Washington had marched.
yes.
So that's pretty cool, actually.
Yeah, that's very interesting.
And there is a reminder of young Washington. I keep seeing that commercial because, you know, that's Love to put out the Christmas
Oh,
everywhere. Yes, Washington. Yes.
yeah. I'm not watching any movies because
It's
they're
I
gonna
think it's a
lie.
show or something. I'm not
Yeah, it's a
sure.
movie. They made
It's
a
a movie?
movie.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
I'm not watching it because
We
I'm
don't
sure they're
watch
gonna
anything.
lie. Don't trust them.
So, and they, the gentlemen do agree. Yes, they cleaned everything up after for the tea because they didn't want any dusting of tea left. So that makes sense. That's more of the rebellion. That
All right,
I
but
could
still,
see that.
but
Yes.
still, you know, I mean, they
You
could have
know?
burnt the ships down.
They could have burnt it down. Can you imagine the outrage felt in the UK when Americans threw tea into Boston Harbor? What a waste of tea, man. Only from Progman. Andy Pearson, good
Wasting good
morning.
tea. Good
Says
morning,
good morning
good
and
morning.
blessings to the House of Biltong.
Good morning, sir.
Jama just reminds everybody dumping into the Hummer made it almost undrinkable, even for Americans. Y'all are horrible. I love it. I love it. Washington's Diane's were mostly his wife's slaves were mostly his wife's family. Interesting.
Okay.
I didn't know that. Hey, there's always something. There's always more. Angel Studio, yes, made that movie. You know,
Yeah, but they also half sold out because they did the 1984, and that was a fuck up. So.
I like some things. I don't like other things. I like the things that are very selective and independent, not necessarily the studio's productions. If that makes sense. Yeah. Okay,
So
continue on.
Okay, then in 1776, I actually think it was December 1775, and then distributed early 1776, was a pamphlet made by Thomas Paine. Now, Thomas Paine, as far as I can understand, was a clothes maker, but he specialized in like corsets and stuff, but failed. So he didn't do very well. But he came to America with basically a pen, and he was very, very good at writing, like very articulate. So he wrote a pamphlet called Common Sense, and it sold, they say, even by today's scales, it sold hugely. Hundreds of thousands of copies of this Common Sense, which basically argued and made a full case for independence. Now, what a lot of the people, you know, it's easy to argue for the independence, but to actually structure it is the hard part, because, you know, to tell the guys to go pound sand is simple, but, you know, to get it in a structure it in a manner where it actually makes sense and everybody can benefit from it is a little more difficult. So the 10th of May 1776, the U.S. Congress, I think it's the Continental Congress, urged all colonies to strip power from the crown and establish revolutionary governments. And then a few weeks later, a guy called Richard Henry Lee introduced a resolution that stated that the colonies have a right to be free and independent states. And then shortly after that, a committee of 5, including Thomas Jefferson. Jesus, my typing is bad. Thomas Jefferson, I was fast. Thomas Jefferson, John Adams, Benjamin Franklin, Roger Sherman, and Robert Livingston. The other two I never heard of. So they were.
I know the name Livingston.
Yes, but Livingston as in the Africa guy. So Roger Sherman and Robert Livingston, from what I can understand, are the guys that got together to write the Declaration of Independence. And Thomas Jefferson had 2.5 weeks. Well, they decided that Thomas Jefferson was the guy to write it, and he was the youngest of them. But he was the most articulate, and I think John Adams. So Thomas Jefferson did not like public speaking. He did not like to talk. He didn't like to engage or anything like that. So he was apparently a very quiet, redhead guy. Yeah. And John Adams said that he was very well spoken, John Adams, and very much engaging with people. And he said Thomas Jefferson should write the Declaration because he is much more skilled than Adams at writing. So he actually said, like, that dude is the dude. So he wrote it, and then of course it got pulled apart because there was a bunch of stuff in there that everybody had to agree. So they had to pull it apart, and about a quarter of what he wrote was lost. Now, I don't know that it's probably recoverable, and we could probably find it in the historical documents. You know, that's the one thing that us from the West keep very good historical records. Not so much, that's why a lot of the pillaging and bad things that other people did are not on record because they didn't write it down. because they didn't write, just as a matter of interest.
Just so you know, let me
They
say
also didn't adopt the wheel.
let me say hello to some people while
All
you
right.
are taking a breather there. We do have SS Grunt coming in. Good morning. Hope you all are having an amazing day so far. And then CK and Bethlehem. Hello, hello. Glad to have you.
CK owes you an address.
Yes, CK was out of town and doing stuff, so we will wait when CK's back.
Okay. Just saying.
CK, reminder, I owe you stuff. SS Grunt should be delivered today. Maybe. But yes, they did confirm that it is an Angel Studio made movie. Yes.
I'll take that. That's a little better. I still won't watch it. I don't watch movies, man.
I see Rumble Rants popping in.
Oh,
let me say
who's
hello.
That? Is that Copium?
That is Copium.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Been a minute. I bet you haven't slept yet if you were up at this hour.
Oh, don't worry. I didn't sleep last night.
Part 1, we just met with Mitch McConnell. He's doing great and says you should buy our EPs, Sybil the Soothsayer, as well as t-shirt, beanie, poster, etc. from copiumpoppies.com. Normally, I would not approve said links, but go visit Copium.
Yes,
Poppies.
Copium is a cool guy.
Copium.
I laugh at all the guys that what's that? Is it Scott Jeffries? I think, I like the guy. He really gave the guys on the CNN panel a hard time. He used to debate them pretty well and just like demolish all their narratives. And then he does this bullshit. And I'm like, dude, really? So you're also a sellout? They're all fucking sellouts. Mitch McConnell, I will put money on it, is fucking brain dead. Okay.
Stop it. Part 2. By Copium. Thank you for the rant again. If you won't do it for us, do it for Cocaine Mitch.
Yes, Cocaine Mitch. And his wife ran off to China. Can you believe it?
Dun,
Wonder
dun,
why.
dun.
Yes.
All right, let's get back to it.
So, as far as I got the history, and this is where it gets interesting. So this is just the what do we call it? This is the
precursor
aperitif to the main event. So the declaration was completed on the 2nd of July, 1776, as in done.
Yes.
So after the 2.5 weeks that Jefferson spent writing it, they debated and took out a few bits and pieces, modified, to which he was very upset about.
Yes.
He was not happy because it's like he sees his work being taken apart, which I get the guy's pain. But anyway, so the 2nd of July is actually the Declaration of Independence finalization date. And from what I understand is, obviously you put your signature on that, it's treason. At that time, it was treason. So John Hancock was the first guy to sign it without hesitation. He's like, yeah, give me that paper.
Hence your...
Yes, your John Hancock.
Oh.
And the first documents were sent out and printed by the printers, and I can't remember the guy's name. There's a guy, well-known, he's the famous printer that actually printed the Declaration of Independence and sent it out to all the colonies to be read in the town squares. The date on the document was the 4th of July.
Mm-hmm.
So the actual document was signed on the 2nd, and the printing date was the 4th, which is where the 4th of July comes from. So it's not the actual independence or the declaration date. And the signature list that is at the bottom was collected from the 2nd of July, and the last guy signed it the 2nd of August. So it was like a month process to collect all the signatures to it. But John Hancock was the first guy that's like, they say, without hesitation, he just signed it. He didn't care. He's like, yeah, bring, we want freedom. So that's pretty cool because, it's like, yeah, I don't care if they kill me. I want this. Like, I'm done. I'm fucking done with this bullshit. Just give me freedom or give me death, basically. So I pretty much appreciate that. And that's where the saying, I guess, John Hancock comes from.
Yes, it must be.
Yes, he's the first signatory on the... and the first documents that were distributed only had his signature on it.
Because it was July 4th.
Because it was July 4th.
Yes.
And then all the other signatories got collected up until the 2nd of August. So, very interesting. And now, I'll see if it's in here because there was some more... that I just want to see. All right, so So basically, all 13 colonies had to agree to walk away from the British Empire. Now, this part I didn't really document it, and of course, the AI didn't give it to me.
Doesn't help.
No, because they also fucking twist the narrative the way they want, right? So 12 of the 13 colonies agreed. New York was the only holdover because I don't know, they had to do something. I can't remember exactly what. They wanted to see what's happening or something like that. But I think New York also probably had the highest British. It was like the port. There was probably the most Brits there. So New York, they didn't say no, but they didn't agree. Delaware apparently had 3 delegates. One said yes, one said no, and the third guy was sick and had to be ridden in on a horse, and it was almost a debate if he would make it or not, like if he would die on his way in, and he made it and agreed, and that swung it over.
Wow.
Yes, so it was 56 delegates from 13. So I guess depending on size, you had 3 or 4 delegates, because 13 times 4 is more than 56. Is that right? 13. So no, that's less. It's less. Plus probably some other guys. So there had to be like 3 to 4 delegates. Or something. I don't know how it was made up. That would actually be a good thing to look up, is how the Congress was made up, because I guess 3 delegates per state, because that would not give you, because if it's 4, you'll get an even split. But I know Delaware specifically, they said that the one guy said no, the one guy said yes. And the problem is there was a lot of people that wanted to be loyal to Britain. So they didn't want to fight. In fact, a lot of the fighting, they would fight the British soldiers and then say, but we are loyal to the crown. We don't, it's not that we want to fight, but you can't be tyrannical with us. But we don't want to break away.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? So they were happy to be part of the British Empire. They just didn't want all the regulations on them and the taxation and all the other shit. So they were like, no, it's like you guys are becoming tyrannical. It's not that we want to be revolutionary, but if you don't leave us alone, we have no choice. That kind of setup. So it was interesting that a lot of people didn't want to break away from England. They just didn't want to be like, under tyrannical heel, if I could put it that way. And then there were people that wanted independence. They wanted to break away completely. And then there were a lot of people that were indifferent. It's like, look, if we don't make waves, so we just kind of keep our heads down, then we can all survive and nobody dies, So it's interesting, to have swung that whole thing into a revolution is pretty interesting.
I got that information, real quick, on the First Continental Congress. It says typically 2 to 7 delegates, which I don't know why it says that, because New York had 9.
Size. Yeah, well, probably size, depending on the size of the, like it is now.
But it says 2 to 7, but there's an 8 and a 9. It makes no sense. Georgia had 0. So Georgia.
No, but Georgia never sent anybody.
That's correct.
Yes, they never sent anybody. 56. No, because Georgia didn't want to. So there was a risk of losing your slaves with this whole thing, and Georgia didn't want to lose their slaves. So they pulled back. Yeah, that's interesting. Sorry, there's a lot of details. So I'm trying to keep it to the kind of.
Because we're trying to figure out why July 4th. That was the goal today.
Yes, and we now figured out why July 4th.
Yeah.
So and I'll say this because the rest is a little bit more history, but. So what happened was the document was dated July 4th on the printing, and that got sent out to all the colonies and all the major cities and stuff, and they read the documents in the town squares, to much cheer of the people. And the 4th of July celebration. Now I'm just trying to think. I can't remember who it was, but he wrote a letter. I want to say it was Benjamin Franklin, but I'm not sure. Wrote a letter to his wife saying that this document, this independence, this declaration will be celebrated by our generations, our future generations, for a long time to come. He said that. He said a year after it was declared. So still in war, still the Brits think that America's part of them, and America's saying no. The first independence was celebrated by the people. They put up fireworks, they shot their guns, they had big bonfires, they had parties on the first anniversary. So this is in the war. They already, and the celebration was done by the people. So nobody. It was
not forced.
The government didn't say, the state governments, the Congress, nobody said. Nobody said that this is Independence Day. The people in the US decided that this is their day, and they celebrated it. And the government, after the fact, made it a public holiday.
Where is Dominion when you need him? So
Yes.
he could hear that part. So
Yes.
that was
It's very
fascinating
interesting. Yes.
to find out
So
that
so it
the
wasn't
next
a
year it was
yeah, it wasn't
celebrated.
like some dude said, well, we got this date, blah blah blah, and like they actually thought it would be the second.
Yeah.
Everybody thought it would be the second because the second is actually when it was done.
But everybody heard the 4th.
But the date,
People
the
heard the
document
4th.
was dated the
Yeah.
4th.
The people heard the 4th, they read the 4th, everything to them. It was signed on the 4th. Everything to them, thank you, John Hancock,
Yes.
was done on the 4th. So it meant a lot to the people.
So the Declaration of Independence for July 1776, primarily written by Thomas Jefferson with edits from John Adams and Benjamin Franklin, declared the colonies free and independent. First only signed by John Hancock and finally signed by all the founders by 2nd of August.
That's fascinating.
Yeah.
So a lot of the argument that I can't remember which stream it was, we were talking about the military coming up, was why would you mark the birth of a nation when it's not done with the fighting? But if you think about it, this document to England is treasonous. So
Yes.
we, at that point, we are declaring we are done, we are free, we are our own, and they celebrated that date. You can't be stuck in a bad relationship and only party afterwards once you finally get through the divorce. No, you're gonna that date. I recognize myself free.
That's one of the things that made the American independence so much different from any others, because most other nations declared independence after the fight.
Well, not everybody won.
Yes,
Who won?
well, exactly. But the Americans, I think, are one of the only ones that said, we are now done, and we will fight you for it.
And
yes, which they
we
did.
gained said independence because of it.
Yes.
So catch up a little bit on
sure,
chat.
Catch up on chat, and then it's just a lot of kind of dates and figures now.
Dates and figures and all kinds of stuff. I am Mitch McConnell, and I approve Kopi and Poppy's message. Mitch McConnell, don't spit out your coffee.
Signed by Mitch McConnell. That's funny.
So Jamal did add it. I had to read that because I thought it was funny. I didn't mean to make you spit your coffee out. In the meantime, I think Mitch is dead. They're just delaying the announcement for politics.
I agree.
I think there's
and I don't know why that guy's such a
puppets out there. Frogman, like the first thing Mitch McConnell said when he got up was, "Where's my biltong?" I'm gonna make you
that message is approved by Mitch McConnell.
Don't drink
also.
your coffee right
no,
now.
I gotta leave that alone.
I love it. That is awesome. Thank you guys. Y'all are fun. Nope, not dead. We just met with him now by our album. Yes, Kobe Puppies. Will people be able to visit him laying in state Lenin?
Yeah, right.
I have to slow down with you, Progman. I'm gonna say it wrong or misinterpret what you were saying. In other words, add my own emphasis in the wrong syllables. Jamal Jefferson was cool. He had a mammoth skeleton in the White House when he sent Lois and Clark, they had a secret mission to bring back one alive if possible. Well, I never heard, did they?
Well, it was a secret.
Dang it. All right. Another Rumble rant by Kopi and Puppies. Our new buddy Mitch says if y'all buy our album, he'll let us party on his cocaine yacht when he gets out of the hospital.
Oh, wow.
Stop it. Y'all are horrible. I love it. Progman, a lot of folks needed convincing in Florida. Yes, right? Jamal, the story of Hancock's signature, he said, paraphrase, "It doesn't matter if we sign big or small. If we lose, we shall all hang.
Yes.
I want to be sure King George can read my name."
Okay. I like it.
I like it. In other words, stand behind what you sign. Stand behind what you believe. Oh, the people nowadays, it's I don't want to say anything because my feelings, man. No feelings. I like it. 17 George, like you pointed out earlier, he wants to keep to the cliff notes. Yes, the shortened versions of a few things. A year after the war, and every ship carried a copy after that for decades. 17 George, that's cool to know. I didn't know that.
See, and then in the Navy and Marine history, that never came up. Never came up.
Yeah, that is actually interesting. Why? Huh. the things that we
A
learn,
lot
and
of the
yet
facts and stuff really get buried.
I would think that's pertinent
Well,
information.
yes, because it shows pride and it shows patriotism, you know,
Yes.
and like this is our declaration, you know. So what they did say is Jefferson took a lot of the principles of the declaration uh, from new age thinkers
Okay.
and philosophers, you know. So it was the the fact that you didn't need a monarchy
Yes.
to establish a country, and you didn't need, you know, you needed free
It's
people.
very
and
controversial.
yes, at those days
that
it was
time.
very
Very
very controversial because, you know, it's like for people to be free and for the representatives to be of the people and to be held accountable by the people was very very new ideas. This was not how things worked. And you know, in the old world, I guess, to put it that way, like Europe and those places, like you couldn't even get into the political class unless
Yeah.
you married into it or
Yes,
were born
yes,
into
yes,
it.
yes.
You know, it's
There's no way to be voted in.
no.
I get the 4th of July, but don't understand Canada Day. Did they fight? They never won. Isn't Canada still part of?
Yes. So there was a war between the U.S. and Canada.
So what's Canada Day?
I don't know what Canada Day is.
Frogman, come.
Yes,
You
I'm
live
doing
there.
American history. Can we do Canada history on
Chappie?
Canada Day?
Chappie, what is Canada Day? I don't know Canada
So-
Day.
Are you caught up, or you still going to read?
I still have a little bit.
All right, go.
There was a series about atoms that was pretty good. It's worth finding to watch. Hey, if you find the name, drop it. Drop it, please. I wish I was rich. I would buy McConnell's remains and put them on display. I wouldn't bother with preserving it, though.
Yes. Yes.
Oh, y'all are horrible. Dead Dingo Dan, good morning. Yes, you are late, but
Good morning,
we're
good
glad
morning.
you were here to say hello. I
Yeah.
should start with pies while you. Oh, Canada burned the White House down.
Yes.
What?
Yes. That's what I wanted to say. There
Yes.
was a war between America and Canada, but Canada was actually British at that time.
1812.
Yes. So America wanted to expand its borders, and then the Brits fought back and actually semi-beat America, burned down the White House, but a truce was signed because the Brits were busy fighting Napoleon in Europe and didn't want the distraction of the American war. So, you know, in short, from what I could gather from that. So the key revolutionary figures were George Washington, which was the military leader. John Adams was a political strategist. Benjamin Franklin was a diplomat, and Thomas Paine was an ideological firebrand. And then the turning points in the war was the victory at Trenton, Saratoga in 1777 brought the French alliance, and that's why everybody kind of laughs at the French, because the French waited until America had a bunch of victories and saw that, wow, these guys could actually beat the Brits, because the French got their asses handed to them, so they didn't want to get involved again. And then only did the French decide to come and help out. So they came after the US were basically beating the Brits, and then the French came and just put kind of the final seal, like the final nail in the coffin.
Nail
there.
in the coffin.
And then Yorktown, 1781 was the decisive battle, I think, where they actually where Britain surrendered and said, all right, fucking no more. And then the Treaty of Paris, Britain was in 1873. Britain formally recognized U.S. independence. And then the first U.S. Constitution was actually Articles of Confederation, which apparently was a very weak central government with no teeth. So they couldn't really enforce any of the laws. So if anybody did like stupid shit, then, you know, it's just like tough. Like you can't do anything about it federally, because the government didn't actually have any teeth. And that ties in with the army thing, where when there was a standing military, they actually half disbanded it because people didn't want the army. They said that, you know, it's going to infringe on their freedoms. And of course, after all the tyranny and, you know, everybody like having fucking soldiers living in their houses by force of government and, you know, all kinds of shit, they had a very bad taste for anything military. But then when people started acting out, because this is a problem now, you got all these like people running around and they're free, and, you know, you obviously get bad actors, people doing stupid shit. I think it was Washington marched south with like 13,000 men to quell some revolution or something that I listened to it. I can't remember all the details, but they were like, nope. And then they decided to redo. Oh, here it is. Maybe armed uprising in Massachusetts exposed the weakness of the articles and pushed for a stronger government. Shays Rebellion, 1876. That's not the one I'm thinking of, but there was one where Washington actually marched with 13,000 people to, like, maybe it was Massachusetts, but anyway. Constitutional Convention, 1787 delegates. So just to think about it, July 1776 is when it was signed. 1783. So that's what 7 years after, like, peace is signed and everybody's now okay. America's independent. All right, and then 1781, which is the first constitution, which, if you see, the decisive battle was in 1781. So that's basically when the war ended, was 1781. The declaration, or the treaty, was signed in 1783, which is a couple of years after. And it probably took them a while to kind of sail there and get everything written up and up and down till the agreement is made. It's not like today where you can just email shit. And then Shays Rebellion, 1786-87, and then Constitutional Convention, 1787. Delegates including James Madison, Alexander Hamilton, and George Washington met in Philadelphia to create a new framework. Great Compromise, Connecticut Compromise, Senate and House, and a 3-5 compromise, balanced power between large and small states. Yeah, the I think they said three-fifths of the money was in the South. So yes, so the majority of the revenue was in the South.
Okay.
And that's why there was also a
didn't
split.
know that.
So the Federalist Papers, 85 essays by Hamilton, Madison, and John Jay, persuaded states to ratify the Constitution. The ratification of bills and Bill of Rights, Constitution ratified in 1788, Bill of Rights, first 10 amendments added in 1791 to protect individual liberties, led by James Madison, and then Washington, President, 1789. First U.S. president, setting precedents for peaceful transfer of power and establishing the new republic. And they wanted to call him something different, like Your Eminence or something like that. And he said, all you need to do is call me Mr. President. So that's all I got. Or like Jeff Mack says, that's all the coffee I got for you.
Can't drink coffee the time he is on. That is way too late.
Yes. No, it depends when you get up.
There you go. Or when you go to sleep, if
Yep.
you do.
So that's what I got. And that was very interesting. I like the whole was actually written a couple of weeks beforehand, edited, and physically signed on the 2nd of July by John Hancock, saying, "You must read my name." The big boss that side, if he wants to come and like hang me, so he knows where to find me and who I am.
So, question for all of you Gen X, boomers, millennials. I don't know if anybody after that point can write in cursive, but how do you sign your name? Do you write it legible or do you write it inconspicuous?
Well, for us, it was always like you got to have a signature that nobody can recognize.
Well, that is the point, not to be legible so that the king can see it.
Right.
I didn't know of that. I think that is hilarious, hearing about John Hancock and his feelings about it. Because why not? That makes sense. Make it, be proud in what you sign, be proud in what you do. So that's fascinating, because to me, I always grew up, your signature should be your actual name. You can make it kind of look fancy however you want, make it you, but it needed to be your name. So I chuckle when I met Anton. I look at his signature. It's not his name. But it's him, and it's what he does. So it's fine, but it always makes me wonder. So I'm curious if any of you guys, you write your name or you just scribble as you please.
Apparently, I scribble as I please.
You do.
So I'm just thinking about it. So if you can kind of put yourself in the shoes of these gentlemen today, if some political figure does stupid shit, they don't get strung up and executed. Those days, they were signing that document under threat of death,
Yes.
of public execution.
Yes.
So putting your signature on that document, you are basically signing your death warrant should it fail.
Yes.
And you are signing a commitment for many people to die defending it.
Yes.
That's a big weight, to have on your shoulders.
But it helps with the realization as to why they did what they did.
Oh no, I 100% agree. But think of how I want to find the right words. How milquetoast our politicians are now compared to those people. Like, you know, these guys, a lot of them were very well off, had a lot of money, had a lot of
they
land.
Would have had a great life.
They would have had a great life, and they just said, look, because, you know, it's just like, well, look, I just got to live through my life, and then this is the next generation's problem. But no, they took a stand, sacrificing or possibly sacrificing everything they own.
Lives. They did.
Everything they own, plus their own lives, plus the lives of many others who did die. But I mean, it wasn't like Washington was sitting, behind a desk. Like, that dude was in the fighting line.
He was in it.
So he could have died at any point, and he had a lot of money.
Yes.
So it puts a very much of a different spin on things.
So is this another realization and importance to why adversity is actually very good for you?
Yeah.
Having difficulties, hard times, it helps you appreciate the things.
Hard times make strong men.
Yes, it helps you appreciate and focus better because you're not playing, alphabet games. You are working and you're building and, in this sense, a nation, literally. Yep. I've got some chat to catch up on. I thought you'd like this comment, though, because this is all too real. And it's not the only place that is encountering this. NW Chappie states, I live 50 minutes from the Canadian border here, here in Washington. And it seems Canada is more like India. Lots of Punjabi in Canada and China.
Yep.
And that's not the only place that has happened. So pay attention, guys.
Yeah.
Pay attention, please.
Texas looks very much Middle Eastern.
In certain areas.
Point.
Yeah.
Yep.
In certain areas. Jamal, the John Adams series, I hate how Amazon makes you pay extra for everything. So Amazon, it is on Amazon, it sounds like, the John Adams series.
Okay.
Just as an FYI. But you are not the only one who is not a fan of movies. Yes. Yep, the South held the purse strings until the industrial buildup of the North.
Yes.
That sounds about right. And if I think of the plantations, I've visited a few in Louisiana, and I want to say it was Mississippi. They're stunning. Still to this day, the ones that they've kept nice. They are incredible. So you can see definitely lots of money down there, which was half the real reason of the Civil War was the money. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. First known man to give up power of his own free will twice.
Yes.
Cam. Gen X, yes, Chappie, we got it. Gen X are here. You guys didn't answer my question. I saw Copium did, but I don't know if anybody else did. Have you tried to write properly on one of those damn touch screens? There is no write properly. Thanks, smiley face, okay? And the signature on those things, that's just for practice. There's absolutely no need, actually, from what I have figured out. My signature was shit to begin with, but now.
All right.
Dre 1080, thank you for joining in. Welcome. Jamal, the 1787 convention was called by Virginia. Congress had no authority. They invited all 13 colonies, 12 attended. Rhode Island sat out.
Okay.
10 of them had full authority to write a constitution.
Okay.
That's cool to know.
Interesting.
Copium throwing said rumble rants. Elder Millennial, I can write in cursive badly, but my signature, I have multiple, one for legal shit and a few different ones for signing our merch. You're just playing. You're being fancy now. Scribble, but try to make it legible. There we go. Signing their family's death warrants. Yes, that's right, Cam. Exactly. Copium adds in all my signatures are fancy looking scribbles. And he add milk toast. Oh my goodness. You stop it. Jamal,
Milk
New
toast.
York and Massachusetts were restricted to amending the Articles of Confederation, so they withdrew. Dog Digger, good morning.
Hey, good morning.
Glad to see your name pop in. Dead Dingo Dan Exenial. Oh, that's a hard to say.
That's a mouthful.
I can read it, but I can't pronunciate it. I used to sign in cursive, but now I'm lazy and it looks more like a doctor's signature.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Off you go. Yeah.
Whatever. I struggle to not keep signing the same way, but
Talking about doctor signatures, I always used to laugh. Go to the doctor in South Africa, and then they give you a script. They write it by hand. Like, you go to the doctor, the script ends up at the pharmacy. Like, you don't get a piece of paper.
Yes.
So in South Africa, you get a piece of paper. They have a little book.
They used to.
And they like, but you look at this thing and you're like, I don't know what that is. So you take it to the pharmacy, and the pharmacy's like, here's your meds. And I'm like,
how did you read
how
that?
did you read that? Because
Yeah,
I can't read that, but you read that. So how do I know what you gave me is what's on that piece of paper? Because I have no idea what it says.
I agree with that.
Always wondered about that. And make sure the quantities are right. Like if you say 40 pills, like, where does it say how many is in there? And then it says, like, take so many per day. It's like the whole story is on there. And I can't read anything. Like, I look at it and it looks Latin. It's like, and then you give it to the pharmacist and the right stuff just appear with like, how many times a day per what? I'm like,
no, if you read it, I agree.
I don't understand because I couldn't make out anything, and now I just have the right things.
I have to laugh.
I don't trust you.
When I was first starting my nursing career, there was a lot of things still written on paper. Not everything was in the medical records and the online systems, and not all of the online systems were good. Some were okay, some were not okay. And I remember transcribing some of the things that the physicians would write, and I had such a hard time. But what's interesting is they would put it on me like it's my fault for not reading that.
You write. So what you do is you take the pen, you stick it in your butt, and then you write. And then I must translate that shit, and if I get it wrong, it's my fault.
Yes, I was
How about
thinking
you
the
take
same
the pen
thing.
out
Thank
of your
you.
butt? You know what I'm saying?
Oh.
Man, I got upset with it's always because I want to know, it's like I'm paying for this shit. Like I'm paying for the medication. I'm paying for the visit. Can you at least, at the very
Make
least,
it legible?
just write so I can read it? Okay, and just pretend I'm like in grade 2. And I'm still struggling. Just write it nicely for me.
The things that we had was not, of course, just the prescriptions or things. It was actual doctor's notes, what the nurses were supposed to do.
Yes.
And I would read them.
No, exactly.
I don't know what that says.
No,
what do you want me to do with this patient? No, I was notorious for phoning the doctors because I can't read your shit.
Yes.
If you write like that, I cannot read it.
But it's like they go to writing school to write bad. It's like, welcome doctors. Yes, exactly. They get trained to write bad.
What's that complex?
Yes, superiority complex. God complex.
So then we have to give you attention. Attention-seeking behaviors. Attention-seeking behaviors. Got it. J Ham, good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
I'm going to pull out the smallest violin for this. Why I hate the king and queen of Biltong. They are in rural Texas, and I have a few years before I can go back home.
Yes.
You need to come for a visit. Come hang out, come play, come roll around in the dirt, grab a couple ticks, shoot a couple guns.
We got less business. Everything's harder, and there's a lot of shit we got to do ourselves, but I won't swap it for the world.
No.
I'm so fucking happy to be away from everything. And we should end YouTube a little early. I don't know if you can.
I can. I'll have to.
No, it's just I bought a little 22, and it looks like a mean gun, but it's not anything mean.
Oh, you want to pull it out?
I wanted to pull it out.
Okay, I can. Hang on. I'm pretty sure I can. No, I have to end this. That one stays live until I end it.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Because I don't want to end the stream.
I swear it stays live because I've done that. I've accidentally.
Because if I do that on YouTube, they'll like, ugh!
I'm
like
pretty sure.
Not that I give a fuck.
Not that it matters. Golly, I'm pretty sure if I hit